Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, it's Friday, and you know what that means. A time for another podcast, and I'm looking forward to bringing this one to you guys. This last weekend, I was down in San Diego and was filming a video that's going to be coming out shortly that I'll let you guys post you guys up on. That was the video for Zorba the Gia shooting with Nicole Johnson's Detour YouTube channel. So if you're not a subscriber, go subscribe today. So when that video comes out, you guys can check it out. She does really cool videos driving all kinds of cars. And she saw Zorba at the Roadster show. The producer hit me up and we worked out a deal. So where better to shoot that car than in San Diego at Lee Hedges' place with all the other Type 34s, the oldest one built and Pedro's prototype convertible. So that's today's podcast. But before we get into that, don't forget to support the sponsors of Let's Talk Dubs. VW Trends Magazine, back on the scene after a long hiatus, a magazine with all the good stuff in it. We've got how-tos, we've got detailed features, we got reader's rides, we got pile of the month, we got it all in VW Trends Magazine. Go subscribe today so you don't miss an issue at vwtrendsmagazine.com. Also, Ross Wolf, high-quality aftermarket parts built for enthusiasts by enthusiasts. So go check them out today at rosswolf.com. And don't forget to use promo code LTD10 to get a discount when you purchase anything from Ross Wolf. So check it out. They're looking to help you guys out for being fans of Let's Talk Dubs and listeners. So, well, we're getting into it. Pedro Sainz, he's been a guy that's been in the Type 3 game for a long time. He started in the early days, and this is his story. He started in the early days with in Mexico with a notchback, and it was kind of customized. Met Lee Hedges, and that changed his world. He was on the pursuit to restore things back to stock, and this is a cool story about several cars he's done. One car we didn't talk about during this podcast was an early 62 squareback that he built. And this guy just, when he gets behind a project, man, he digs deep. We talk a little bit about the prototype convertible toward the end of this, but I have a special video coming out next week so make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel because I have a special video that we go over in detail the convertible build. And he built a tribute car to the 1962, starting with all as authentic as it gets. This is the prototype convertible that disappeared. And he built a recreation to it, and it is unbelievable. I actually got to drive the car this weekend, so thanks, Pedro, for letting me do that. It was an unbelievable experience. Not many people get to drive that convertible, but I'm telling you, you want to look at a car that appears to be a factory-built car. There is no question that's what this car is, and he's done a phenomenal job. And this guy, he gets nothing but respect from me because he is just committed to the hobby, the time it takes, what he goes through to build these cars. And he does pretty much all the work by himself, less paint. So there's a good group of dudes down there in San Diego. Jason, their buddy John, Pedro, Lee, a lot of the guys down there. Some names I might be forgetting, but those guys down there, man, they definitely are a team, and they're making sure Type 3s are getting back on the road. So it's super cool to have Zorba out there, the Zorba, the bad boy with all the stalkers. It was a good time, and a lot of the Type 34 guys are going to be coming out to One Crazy Weekend. So if you have not registered yet for One Crazy Weekend, go to letstalkdubs.com, click on the link that says Showtime, get registered for One Crazy Weekend. It's $30 for the car show. It's $50 for the poker run. I suggest you do both and really experience the weekend. Weekend kicks off on Thursday with events happening at the hotel, inside the hotel. It's going to be a poker run put on by VW Trends on Thursday. Then Friday, there's going to be a bowling tournament and the strip cruise. Saturday's going to be the car show and the poker run. So it's going to be 3 fun-filled days of action-packed VW stuff to do. So go register today. Get your rooms booked. There's discounted room rates for people. That link is on the website. So go to letstalkdubs.com. It's never too early to be prepared for the best weekend of your life at One Crazy Weekend. So with that, anything else, guys, we're going to get into it. It's a great podcast with Pedro Sainz, the guy, the Type 3 legend, carpenter by trade, car builder by passion. So check it out this week. Pedro Sainz on Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like.
Okay, Ray, so on today's show, I'm down here. I came down to San Diego area and was shooting a video with Nicole Johnson from Nicole Johnson's Detour, and came down here. She wanted to shoot in San Diego, and I said, well, if there's a place we're going to shoot in San Diego, we definitely got to go over to Lee's place. So today I'm here at Lee Hedges, the Type 3 factory over here, where some of that stuff takes place, right? Or the whole crew here builds a bunch of stuff and puts cars together. And on today's podcast, I have the pleasure of speaking with Pedro Sainz. Pedro, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure being here, and I feel exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you here. You know, we just got done walking around your car and shooting a video about your 1962 Cabriolet prototype tribute car that you built, recreation. And it was quite an overwhelming feat to build that car, but most importantly, you got a lot of history of Volkswagens, a lot of stuff that people don't know. And unless you're really into Type 3s, people may or may not know what your history is. And the way that we always start the podcast is, what's your VW story and how did you get into Volkswagens?
Well, I was in the era of the 1980s, and all my friends, you know, they were old enough to drive, and they were having Volkswagens. So my first Volkswagen was a 1966 Bug.
And this was where? This is here in California?
This is in Tijuana, Mexico.
So even growing up in Tijuana, how old are you?
I'm right now 60.
Okay. So you're a couple years older than me, but you were they were doing street cars lowered, or stock, or what were they doing down there?
At that time, we were in the pits. That we were on the Baja 500, the Baja 1000, the Baja 250, San Felipe. So I was one of the pits from the group from Tijuana.
Uh-huh.
And then we went through. That's when the California look came.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I got my friends started getting Volkswagens, because the Bug was the cheapest one. I remember the oval windows, they were $500 at that time, and 500 was a lot too.
Yeah.
So all I could afford, working on a small deli shop, it was a 1966 Bug.
Yeah.
And I paid $250 for it, and that was my first. But how I got to Type 3, that 3 years after, a really close friend of mine, he owned a 1965 notchback. And when he came and showed us to us, this is in Tijuana.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and said, hey, what is this? Since never seen a notchback before. So he said, you want to drive it? I said, of course. So the moment that I actually got into the notchback, I said, I want one. So immediately, I think probably like 3 days, I sold my 66, and I ended up buying a 1963 notchback.
So notchbacks, now I know in the States they didn't have notchbacks imported. Was it the same for Mexico, or were they all imported there, or they sold them there?
And in those days, we had the Auto Trader here in California. For people old enough and me, you will remember the Auto Trader. It was the little small magazine. It was the black and white.
It came out every Friday, but Thursday night you could go to the store and get it early, right?
That's correct. So
stay up till midnight and go.
Oh yes. So I found this 63, and it was selling here in Del Mar.
Oh really?
Yes. So I went there, and it was only $500 for the notchback.
That's cheap.
So I went and get it, and I noticed that to drive it back, it didn't have a floor. The half pans didn't have, they were rusty. It was you can see the street. So the seats was the only thing that was whole. It was putting, it was there because the rail stays on the tunnel. Yeah. But the other one, it stays on the side of the
heater channels.
The heater channels. Mm-hmm. So I drove it like that. And the funny thing that I had to roll my windows down so the air and the rocks and all this dust get out of the car.
Yeah, it was dusting you out inside the car, huh?
Yeah, so I rolled down the windows, and it was not a long drive from Del Mar to TJ. And good thing that I noticed I didn't have a floor, but I made it.
And now, when you were getting that car, taking it to taking it back to TJ, was there, and this is like in the 80s you're doing this?
Yes, back in the 80s, yes.
And was there issues with importing cars, stuff
No.
like that, or not a big deal?
There's no issue when the car is crossed by my own force.
Mm-hmm.
When you pull a car, that's when you have the...
Oh, so if you're driving the car across, no big deal.
That's correct.
Okay, so you get a 65 notchback?
It's 63.
63 notchback.
Oh, 64 notchback.
Right. And that car, pans are rusted, all that stuff.
Well, hold on. First, I got the 63 notchback from Del Mar.
Yeah.
And then I sold the 63 notchback because I needed to build my own house. So I sold the 63, built my house, and then found a 64.
Hold on. How much does it cost to build a house in Mexico? Did you sell a...
I think it cost me, since I was really, that's when I started the carpentry. Mm-hmm. And I think I built it for $10,000.
$10,000 you built a house. And then you sold the notchback for how much?
The 63, I think I sold it for $3,000.
Back to somebody in the States?
Yes, somebody there. And then once I built my car, I needed to go back to the notchback again. It only took 2 years. So I found my 64. And that's a 64 that the unfamous that everybody heard and seen, that I had it for 29 years, the sea blue.
Yeah. So that's the notchback you're known for. The early days of the Samba, all that stuff was a sea blue 64 notchback.
Yes.
And you owned that car for how long?
29 years.
And then up until that point, you really never started getting into doing more restorations and more restorations. At that point, you're working as a carpenter for a lot of years. It's your car, it's your hobby car.
Yes.
And then you don't really take on what's the first big restoration? Because you're kind of a guy that you don't do something a little bit, you do it 110%, like all the way. Now, did you learn that from like being a carpenter, having to get everything exactly correct to work and that type of stuff? Or where does that come from? Is that from your family, from your dad, or? No,
it came from 1977. That's when the skateboard was really like started.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my first ramp in Mexico. So it was the L shape. Well, we call it a J form shape. It has a ramp. It's a ramp that has an angle like a form of a J. Mm-hmm. And you don't need the street to pull yourself because you have the slope for it. So that's how I noticed that, I like this, work with the hammer and work with the
So you started building like quarter pipes and stuff like that first and these ramps,
yes,
which would kind of lend you to like, I like building stuff with my hands and I like to do this kind of stuff. And it eventually got you into carpentry.
Yes, that's how I started. And then I can see, I see that I like to work on my hands. Mm-hmm. That's the thing I say. Whatever I can do in my hands, I would just go for it, whatever it is.
So now you own this Notch for 29 years. It's kind of your weekend car, whatever. It was all original and restored, or? Yeah,
well, I started as the 80. Remember the California look? It was that you buy the original car and you take all the original parts.
You de-chromed it, lowered it.
You throw it away, and then
I knew there was a lowered guy inside you. I knew that. Yeah.
So no, there is, and so I had this notchback and I put it together and I had to lower it down. I had to put that. I remember that those 80s, if you guys remember that, we used to buy the silica rack top made out of aluminum. You had to cut it out and then you have to rivet it.
Yeah.
I did that on my notchback.
Did you really?
Once, yes, I did, because you want to look cool.
Right, you need a rack top.
Yes. But and then once you're grown up, and then you go, well, this is not right.
You just change your style, right? You say, I like a little more original, a little more this, and so you start to go down that road a little bit.
That's what I started with more originally, and then that's when you have to get the parts back. And it was so easy to get the original parts back in those days.
Yeah.
Because they were still there. It was not like a people wanted it.
Right.
Actually,
Type 3s were really unpopular in the early days. They were, I don't want to say really unpopular, but compared to the Beetle, there was the Beetle, then I don't know which was less popular, the Bus or the Type 3 in the 80s, but I think it might have been Type 3s in the 80s. There's going to be more buses at the show. And now you take this 25 years later, Type 3s, buses are more popular, more sought after than Beetles.
Yes,
you know?
the notchback was really rare.
Yeah.
And to complete a notchback, all you see in the junkyard, it was squarebacks and fastbacks. And that's where you get your parts to complete a notchback.
Right.
And people was getting confused. I always get a compliment like, "Oh, nice Volvo."
Volvo, yeah.
And I go, "No, sorry, it's the notchback. What is that?"
Yeah.
And then you had to explain them.
Well, it's like now with the Type 34, right? I like your Corvair. Is that a BMW? You know?
Yes.
So there's a lot of unseasoned people, and it looks similar to the Volvo a little. I mean, from a distance, if you don't know cars and they just look the same shape. So you have the first notchback so you go cow look style, sunroof, all that stuff, and then one day you decide this is a rare car. I want to put it back to original.
Yes. So I went to original. So I had to get a fastback roof. So I welded it back together and I painted. That time it was like a green. It was like a seafoam green, and I was happy with it. I was happy, and to a point that I started with Nona. So Nona is the notchback owners of North America.
Oh, good grief! That's old.
By Lee Hedges. He started it.
And is that the first time you meet Lee?
That's the first time I met Lee and Dave Love.
Yeah.
We were only 3 people that show up for this Nona meeting.
Yeah.
It was the starting. This is probably like 87, somewhere there. And the only 3 people show up. So here I came with my 64 Seafoam.
Yeah.
And
what did Lee have?
Lee had it was a white notchback. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was a 63. I might be mistaken.
Yeah.
And Dave Love has a 62, I believe 63. I can't remember.
Where did you guys meet?
We meet at it was a cafe here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I can't remember the name, but they no longer exists. I think about a month ago they went out of business, and it was right here by the.
How did you hear about the meeting?
It was a flyer on V Parts.
Oh, really?
And V Parts is a shop here in National City where most of the VW guys go, and that's where you see all these. Remember, we didn't have internet.
Right.
Before, so everything was
Lee, no matter what, he's trying to get all the notchback owners together, and he's like, "Hey, we're having a notchback meeting." Puts the flyer up like the old piano lessons. You take the number and call the guy and all that stuff on the bottom.
Yes. Yeah, remember those. Okay. Now I can see when you say you're 2 years younger than me, you still remember that part. Yes.
So then you go to the VW shop, you see this, you go to the meeting, you meet these 2 guys. And then at this point, you had restored your car back as close as possible?
No.
Or it was still custom?
No, it was still, once you join Nona, my car, it was half and half.
Yeah.
And I learned from
Who told
them,
you? Lee said,
Lee
this
Hedges.
is wrong. That's wrong. This is wrong.
Lee, I committed to be a Nona.
Right.
And Nona, it was not just a stock thing. It was just a notchback, which is notchback owners of North America. So it was whoever had a notchback. But Lee, he's the guilty of going me through all these brochures and looking at it. I said, wow.
So now, because you're a custom guy and you meet Lee and you see Lee is like committed to original, it's got to be original. And you see this in this guy and you think like, yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe he's pushing me to make my car more pure, more original, more like the factory. And then you saw it as like anybody can do custom, but to get it back to original takes a lot of work. Or what was the shift in your mind?
Well, of the 3 that we show up, if I would have leave it as seam foam, which is not a Volkswagen color, I would have been accepted anyway.
Right.
But it was a change from inside of me that, I mean, when Lee was explaining me all this, this is a 64, you should, what is the original color? So I said, I don't know. So that he showed me, we look underneath my dash and it was a sea blue. So, this is the sea blue. So when he was explaining all this, I say, wow, okay. But if I would have done it or not, I would still be admitted to this club.
Sure.
But I say, okay, I need to go. I need to go back. So
because maybe I think I figured it out. I'm thinking maybe you see the commitment and the discipline it takes to keep your car as original as possible, and you respect the discipline, and you think, yeah, his is original, mine will be original. I'll make mine more original. Like, you see kind of the commitment. Is it like the discipline to stay the course and to do that? Is that what lures you to doing the
Yes, because
original?
it was the first time I actually saw another one, how it looked like, and I never seen pictures before at all.
Right.
I was just guessing what I think it will fit and what I think it was done. That to a point that I tear it apart.
So you tore the whole car apart to start restoring it.
Yes, and when I finished the car, it was I believe it was 97. And then when I start start doing the shows in TJ, where the first shows at actually TJ that we did, I saw Lee Hedges again. And he saw my sea blue, and he was probably more happy than myself. I was happy too, but he saw what I commit to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept the car for 29 years. But in the midst of between 20 years that I own it, it was nothing else to do in that car. So some point of later years, I saw this option. It was a two-tone.
On the notchback.
On the notchback. And there's two different types of two-tone. There's the Australian one, and there's the German one.
Yeah.
And the difference is the points and how it's cut on the roof.
So it's the roof being a different color, and is it white or black?
It's white.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a white pastel, I believe.
And so the way the cut line is the difference, where they mask it, is the difference between German and Australian.
Yes, the
so
German.
You saw that and you were like, oh, maybe I'll do that to do something.
Yes, because it was an option.
Yeah.
Since it's an option, I'm still correct.
Right.
Because it's an option of the dealer. And the way that the Australian looks is they go across cut. And the German is follow the roof line to the
back window.
To the back windows
at an angle across.
And I go, okay, I got to go with the German one. And then after that, I got some more accessories that I didn't know what else to learn. I didn't know what else to put on that I got.
And having a finished car is one thing, but you're more for the thrill of the build and the chase and the create and keep the work going. Is that what? Because over the past few years, you've had a lot of cars and you've sold one after the other and got the next project a little more difficult and a little more. It's like you seek a challenge. Yeah.
Yes. Until to the point that I had my notchback. And I go, well, what else? And then I saw the Type 34.
Who's the first guy you saw with the Type 34?
Lee Hedges.
So Lee had which car? He had Ruby or which one?
No, he had a sea blue.
Yeah.
It was I believe it was a 1965 sea blue.
So it's like Lee keeps moving the bar for you, like, this guy's got a Type 34. I got to find a Type 34 now.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember that sea blue that he had. He's the one that got in the accident.
Yeah, on the freeway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that car got beat up pretty bad. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you saw he has a Type 34. Now, what year is this that you decide? So you decide you're going to sell the notchback and buy Type 34?
Yes, but well, no, that was not the decision yet. The decision, if I go a little bit back, is the notchback that I had for all these years. You know, it was a lot of help from my mom.
Yeah.
So I had when my mom passed away, I didn't. The notchback would bring me so much memories that I was affecting myself, and I wasn't good.
It reminded you of an old time, and
yeah. So I found a way to get rid of it because it was giving me too many.
So do you know where the car went?
For the first two owners, yes. After that, I lost track.
And what year did you sell that car?
I believe it was probably 7 years ago.
Okay. And so from the point of selling that car, we got to back up a little bit before that, because I didn't know this until somebody explained to me. And then I asked you the other day when you were here, but you were the guy that did Pedro's racks.
Yes.
And in the 90s, roof racks became very, very popular.
Yes.
Is it 90s or early 2000s?
No, it was 2000.
Early 2000s. Everybody, it became the craze, the accessory craze. Late 90s, early 2000s, people finding accessories on Beetles and whatever, and then roof racks. And so you started making Pedro's racks. What made you start making Pedro's racks? What made you start that?
At that time, I had the 1964 notchback. So I didn't have anything else to do on it. So I saw Billy Steve's. They were selling racks from this guy. It was made in Washington. But the guy was like, he was making maybe one a month. So I have the opportunity, because I was making so many trips, because Billy Steve's, when it was in Alondra, California, they were the only ones, a Type 3 store you had to go. There was nowhere else.
Right.
And then I saw the rack, and I bought the rack. I believe it was $250, and I still have the receipt.
Yeah.
Yes. So I bought it, and looked at it, and put it on, and that's how I had the rack. But and then when I started it is when I actually didn't have I still owned the notch back then, but the guy stopped making those racks. So in the 2000,
wood slat racks were like all the rage.
Yes, Bob Walton, he wanted a rack, because the other guy stopped. So he bugged me like for a year to make one. And I keep, denying it. No, because when I commit something, I really do.
Right.
And I don't just say yes. So I had to study it. So when I looked at it, I said, okay, what I can do is I can copy this one that I have. So I did, but at that time I didn't have the notch back then when I committed it. So I copy it, but I little different. I just low profile it.
So you looked at it, you said, it looks better if it's lower.
Yes.
Right. It looked like it didn't fit the flow of the car.
Yes. So I did my first 15 racks.
How many?
15.
So you decided you're not going to make one, you're going to make 15.
I will make 15. And I did for squarebacks, I did the 4-footer, the 5-footer, and the 6-footer.
So the 6-footer is the full length, like a full length rack?
That's a 6-foot.
So I remember my brother, did you sell him at Pomona?
No, never.
So I remember us going to Pomona, and my brother bought for his squareback in probably it has to be 93 or 90, 92, 93, that he bought a full length wood slat for his squareback at Pomona. And I was good, but that's before you were making them.
Yes.
So when you start making the racks, you just fire off 15 for what kind of car?
It was Beetle for the three models of the squareback. The 4, the 5, and the 6-footer. So
right out of the gate, you start with squareback racks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then I did the notchback, and then that's the 3. So the squarebacks I did the 3 models. The notchback I did just 1 model, and then I did the fastback because the rack for the notchback doesn't fit on the fastback. It's only 1 inch difference on the rear legs. So I made like 2 or 3 of each model, and I took them on my F-150 truck. I went to the Classic. When I drove with my truck with my notchback, I was pulling my notch. Yeah, I pulled my notchback, and I sold the racks in 45 minutes.
All of them.
All of them.
And what were you selling the racks for back then?
I went the way where I sold it. It was at the ISP barbecue because all I did was park, and I was just gonna, I just brought him because I was gonna actually take him to the Classic. I actually got a space for the Classic, but they were sold in front of ISP.
Really?
So once I sold them, 45 minutes. About 10 minutes after that, I remember Steve Makepeace.
From Bill and Steve's.
Came and saw me and he recognized me and goes, I'll buy all your racks right. I said, sorry, Steve, they're all sold already. So that's when I start making racks for Bill and Steve's.
So then you started a side hustle like making racks for Bill and Steve's. Did you do that to make car money, like separate from your work money? Like I'll do this hobby, makes me my car money and I can invest that in my cars? Or you just did it because you started making racks and you're like, I'll make the racks. My job to make the racks now.
Well, I commit the racks. It was it started with the hobby. Yes, that's correct. And so I saw when I got this order, helped me to buy my first house.
Oh, really?
So I was making them in TJ.
Really? So you're living in TJ at the time?
I was living in TJ at the time, and I had to cross, while I was going to work, I had to cross 1 or 2 racks a day.
That's crazy. And now to make the racks, you made a steel jig for it, or how did you? I mean, because you made them out of solid rod on like the originals, or are they hollow, or what are they?
They are hollow, and my my templates are made with the same pulley of the bug, the aluminum small pulley.
Right.
I use those. So there's nothing out there available. The radius that I needed to make, and the vision that I had, and the low profile that I wanted. So I had to make my own jigs, and I was using pulleys.
So like the generator pulley is what you
small
bend
one, the one
around.
aluminum one. Yes, yes. That's my radius.
And so
that's the secret.
Yeah. So you come up with making these, and then you didn't just stop there with the Type 3 racks. Did you make Carmen Gia racks?
After that, I was the same. Once I started with the Type 3 first, there were owners that don't just own a Type 3. They also own a bug. And say, hey, I love your rack on my notch, or on my square back. I have a bug. Can you say, yeah, of course. So I had to buy every roof that was available.
So you go to a junkyard, cut a roof off, and you use it for templates.
Yes, that's correct.
And everybody in TJ thinks you're the crazy guy who's making these weird wooden things in the neighborhood. You have piles of roofs everywhere, and you're out there like every night after work making racks.
Yes, and then after that, once I moved, got my house, and then I just moved everything over here and I started doing everything here, and then the guy that owned a bug, I say, I have a bus. Will you do a rack for a bus? So here I'm going back to the junkyard, and I bought a bay window roof. Cut it off and take it home and start measuring all the lengths that I can do. And then he has a double cab. And then and then I had to get that too. So, and then I ended up having every single roof of every model Volkswagen from.
Because in the early 2000s, the wood slat roof rack was the craze. It was like everybody wanted a wood slat roof rack.
Yes.
And what were you selling them for back then? Do you remember? Approximately.
Probably they were around in the 500s.
Around $500.
Probably it started with the 495, some weird number.
Because an original wood slat was pretty expensive from Volkswagen if you could find it. And then yours were a little bit different because you made yours a little more custom, a little more modern looking, a little lower profile.
Yes, but I was spending on these too. It was not too much of a I was putting the high quality of double powder coating, because it had not only the color powder coat, but it also has the clear over it. And we're talking about 3 mil of one and 3 mil of the other one. This is 6 mil of coating that you have. So nothing of not comparing of the coating of the Chinese one.
Right.
It's only 1.5 because I measure it. That's why I know.
And so you made racks for Volkswagens, and then you tell me at one point you started making racks for BMW 2002s and some other stuff. So people see you make the rack, then hey, I need you to make a rack for my car. So how many years do you make the racks for?
Probably 5 years.
And why did you stop?
I had I injured my wrist, and because everything is handmade.
Right. I mean, you're like bending the pipe by hand, all that stuff?
Yes, everything was by hand and sanding by hand, and I started getting planers, and then I started getting sanders, and as I was going, and then ISB wanted to, they saw that BLSD was selling racks, so I want them too. Right. So I had to also do for ISB.
So how many racks do you think you made total production?
I will say probably like 550.
And did you mark your racks that they said Pedro's racks or anything on them, or no?
Yes, they have a sticker.
They do have a sticker?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
And it just got to be too much. And so what did you do with all the equipment to make the racks?
Well, not only the equipment. Well, we're talking about
all the jigs, the roof, all the stuff.
Saw, the planer, the sander, the welding. I didn't do the welding. It was too much for me. Yeah. And I also did for the some VW guys, they own a BMW 2002. And so I had to start doing those too, and then some other ones they wanted some other models, even some I can't remember a Camino. I did a few, so it was just like a special request.
Right. And so you finally decide, I can't do the racks anymore. This is too much work. There's too much demand. I don't have enough time. So what do? Just stop making them altogether, or you sell the equipment? Somebody else starts to make them. You teach somebody to make them, or? I
start selling all the equipments and all the jigs, and they haven't started yet. I saw. I even done for the 356 Porsche. And the funny of those that every year they have a rally up there, and they were 600 to get in.
Wow.
And for the 911, I did some special ones that some big long ones. They go over the rear window
on the 911
just to have the 2 spare tires over it
for a rally car.
For the rally cars.
That's crazy. So you stopped making the racks. What year you stopped? You think?
Probably like 7 years.
And so, like 7 years ago,
yes.
Like 19, like you're saying, 2000, 2008 or 2012?
About 2012. Yes.
And then you get rid of the notch, and then you get your Type 34.
Yes.
And what year is the Type 34 that you get?
The Type 34 that I got, it was a gift from Jack Fisher.
Yeah.
And I told him I needed, when my mom passed away, I sold the notchback, and I needed it to occupy my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack Fisher, well, the story back of that, Lee Hedges and Jack Fisher, they bought 2 cars for $500, and they went all the way to Malibu, and they brought a 1968 automatic and a 1965 coupe Type 34. So they bought these to cut them off and get parts of it.
Right.
So Lee Hedges, he wanted just a tranny because he owned before a 68 automatic. So all he wanted, for $500, $200 a piece, for just a tranny is really cheap.
That's a great deal.
So that was the plan. That was plan A. But when they went to pick them up, the owner, they gave him the pink slip. So Jack Fisher say, "Oh, there's a pink slip in it.
We can't cut these cars up now, right?"
Yes. So they brought him back, and then it was one of those days that it was my birthday, and Jack Fisher called me up and he said, "Hey, here, happy birthday." So he handed me the pink slip and I said, "What is this?" "That's your car."
For which one?
That was for the 65.
Really?
The 65 was my first Type 34.
And what color was this one?
This is the smoke gray.
Oh yeah.
The 2-tone.
Yeah.
So I call it Razor Boy.
Yeah.
Razor, I know in UK they call it Razor.
Yeah.
So
Razor.
I don't know. I like the name for Razor Boy. So that was the nickname of that car, and that kept me really busy.
How complete was that car when you got it?
It was just the body.
Just the body.
Yes.
So you had to assemble every part, every piece, everything.
I had to find every single. It took probably like 14 different countries to get these parts together, and probably 35 steps.
Holy cow.
To get all the parts.
And did you focus, like when you build something, you focus on just getting all the parts first and then you build, or you build as you go?
Both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
At the daytime, I put it together. Nighttime, I go shopping.
And so you finished that Razor, what year?
It was 18 months.
So in 18 months you build that car?
Yeah, it was 18 months I built the car, complete.
And you have that car, and how long do you keep that car before you decide you need another project?
At that time, I got the 1968 automatic. The other one that the same one. The
same car for the two that they bought.
Yeah, that was another gift.
So nobody did anything with the 68 automatic?
No.
And they say, give it to Pedro, he'll build it.
So I got the opportunity, so that was another gift.
And how complete was that car?
That was just that was one of the worst cars that I can say. It was hit a T-bone from the side. It messed the whole door and the whole whatever you see on your car was in, plus the front. So it was just replacing. So I had to buy another car, which it was 66 that I got in Ramona, and I got parts from there, put it on that, put it together. But the intention of that one was to give it to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And once it was all done, it was this show in Escondido Familia Fest.
Mm-hmm. And
in person, in front of the crowd, that's when I give when it was done. And matter of fact, she got the first.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, on a Type 34.
And does she still have that car?
Yes, we still own it.
So
and
that
she's
car,
not touching it. She don't want me to touch it. I can't sell it. That's hers.
Does she drive it?
Yes.
And the automatic, I mean, what are some of the unique things about that? I mean, I think I like the automatic, the Type 34 automatic. Is it a good driving car?
Yes, it is. It's a combination of the old and the new, because I mean, you don't know what to do with your right
With your
hand.
Yeah.
You just put it on your steering wheel. You want to shift,
Right.
but there's nothing to do. And the 68, what the own, if let's not get confusing here. A 68, just 68 himself. There's only that I know. There's only 25 automatic.
Yeah.
68.
Right.
I'm not saying 69 because
Right.
a lot of people, they jump in and say no, that he's lying. No, I'm talking 68
Right.
only. It's only 25, and I know there are only 11.
The 68's when the Type 3 automatic came out.
It's the first year they came out, and I own the earliest 68 of the 25 existing.
Oh wow.
But 68. I want to be pointed out again, guys. Don't get mad.
Yeah.
So I got the earliest because there's still the locking device that I had to replace. It came from the 60. So that's how I found out the 67 deal.
Right. So it's kind of a half that had some 67 parts on it. Original?
Yes, there's some original 67 parts
Wow.
still. And
So-
it's been also 68. It comes with the 0, which is 69 came with the N with the neutral. That's how you can tell 68 and 60.
Huh. That's wild. How many how many automatics they make in 69?
I don't have a. I know there's in the database in Type 34 world.
There's not a lot of 69s out there, right? Like that's the last year, and it wasn't.
Yes,
It was the end of the line.
I think altogether, 68 and 69 together, I think just to throw out the number, maybe they're like 89
Total.
Wow.
Wow.
How many they're working
Who knows?
or rolling?
And then you finished Razor Boy.
I finished Razor Boy, and it was not enough. I was still had my mom in my mind, so I started working on 68, but I had to stop 68 because I saw this 62 Sea Blue. 62 Pacific. And I said, man, this is a 2.
Yeah.
So I stopped the project 68. The 68 took me 2 years, but the 62 was, I got a call from Lee Hedges again, and he goes, Pedro, there's a 60. He has to move out of country or out of state. This is the opportunity. So I got the 62. I got so excited. The 62, it was already painted.
Yeah.
It was a really a nice thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was low down. All the interior. He wanted this specific Type 34. He wanted a 356 look-alike.
Mm.
The interior, all the design of the
right.
upholstery is 356 red with the 914. I think it was a 914 rims. So it was a bigger engine. So it was a lot of stuff of a 356.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, no, this is a no-no. So we wanted to drive around, and it stopped like a half a block. So it wasn't running right. So I said, okay. So we had to tow it all the way to Imperial Beach, Jack's Fisher house. That's where I put all my cars together.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to him. And I go, okay, what I don't need here. So I start taking parts. Okay, this doesn't go here. This doesn't go. By the time I only had just the body.
Everything was incorrect on the car.
Everything was incorrect. So just to get with Lee Hedges again,
Mm-hmm.
I go, okay, Lee, what's going on with 62? So he's telling me, go this is. So here I am chopping again, chopping at 10 and 11, 12 at midnight, because that's the time by Germany and in Europe,
right.
they're awake.
They're up. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
So I got to get them in there and get them early. So I start getting all my parts together, and I start getting parts from the engine compartment because they cut it. So I have to put it back together and get a new engine. So everything I was selling, I was using that funding to get, and on, and then I just have that by that time. And then I had both at the same time. And then I need to go with finish the 68. So I sold Razor Boy once it got out from the magazine at BW magazine.
Well, not Razor Boy. Razor Boy is the automatic.
The Razor Boy is the smoke gray.
Oh, the smoke gray.
So once it came out, I had a buyer, and actually was the owner where they bought the car.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
when
he saw the owner of the $500.
Oh, really?
For the 2?
No way.
Well, he was the owner of
of the
both
automatics.
cars.
Yeah.
So he saw his car in the magazine,
car that you restored, and he said, "I want to buy it."
I thought, I think that he wasn't gonna live enough to see this car running. So he bought it for his wife, and then I lost what happened after that. I don't. I don't know. And then I used that money to finish up the 68. Then when I got the 68, and I go, well, and then I have these two, the 62 and 68, and then that's when I came with the convertible thing, thinking, what else can I do?
What's the next most difficult car to build?
So I sold the 62. I kept the 68, and then the 62 Pacific Blue came on the magazine too, and then the 68 go on the magazine. So I don't know what else to do. So everybody was texting me, hey, you can come and help me finish mine, of course. So
right,
only the closest friends here because I don't know how far I had to go. I mean, I was even called to pay my flight to other states to finish their cars, and they go, wow, that's a little bit crazy.
Right.
So
everybody's trying to get you to finish their cars because you seem to be. People don't understand the amount of time you're committing, staying up late at night after work, immediately working on the cars and doing all this stuff. And so when you decide, like, I want to build, because you're here at Lee's place, and Lee has the catalogs, the brochures for the 1500 convertible. This is marketing literature that they made before the car was even available for sale when it was at the Frankfurt Auto Show, right? So a lot of these left over from there, a lot of these brochures, and you see this and you think, I'm going to build that. That's what I'm going to build. And I mean, we just did a short video on your car, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you built the 62 convertible. You found a very early chassis number car, and you decided you were going to build an exact replica of the prototype that was in the sales brochure. No, I mean, that's a massive undertaking for a guy who does not have a shop that does this professionally. You do this at home on your own. Now, it does help that you're a carpenter by trade and a very skilled carpenter with attention to detail and patience. I think patience is the most important thing that you have because you're willing to go through whatever it takes to get these cars finished. Now, this car that you've finished here it's unbelievable. It's a beautiful example. We talk on the video about the extensive amount of work that you went to go through to have this car made. We'll touch on a few of them here, like making the convertible top, which was made from an original Carmen Ghia top. You had to be widened, shortened on the front throw, raised on the back. So it was stretched, cut, and widened, right? So there was that, which took an immense amount of time, months putting it back and forth. And you're doing all of this based on photographs from the literature.
That's correct.
I mean, it's incredible, the attention to detail that you're spotting these little tiny differences from the photographs, with the Carmen badging being on the driver's side, which normally on the 62, it's only on the passenger side quarter panel, correct?
Yes.
So when you decide to take on this project, what does your wife say when you said, honey, I'm going to make a 62 convertible? What does she say?
She goes, first of all, she has me as a stock guy.
Yeah.
And for her, cut off a coupe, for her, that's custom.
Right.
And then telling me that, oh, you're a custom guy. Say, no, honey, you're not understanding. I'm doing a convertible. Yeah, but it's not original. So, okay, all right. So I just end up
So she's giving you a hard time.
Yes.
Now, this car, the amount of work that you had to do for the chassis, for example, what types of things, when they make the convertible, even from the Beetle to the Carmen Ghia, whatever, anytime Carmen takes a car, even from the first original Carmen, the early Carmen Cabriolets, the Beetles, they put a lot of extra strength and reinforcements and those types of things. And that was some of the hardest things because the guys that actually own. So the philosophy is, or the story goes that 62s were built as prototypes and sent out to dealerships. Then the Volkswagen took them all back and made them 63s, updated the cars to like 63s is what I was talking to Lee about. And only one car, the white car that was in the brochure, was the 62 early. All the other ones that are photographed are all 63 models.
That's
right?
correct.
And so you were determined, not only am I going to make a convertible, I'm going to make the one that's in the brochure. And it was an incredible amount of work. I mean, I can't even stress how much work it was. The glass you made for the doors was a special piece of glass because it's actually, the window is bigger. Like you can't take just a Type 34 window and round the corner.
No.
Because it's bigger than a stock Type 34 window, right? It goes back further a little bit.
That's right.
So you had to have glass custom made for that. How long did it take you to find someone who could custom make the glass?
I had a friend of mine. He does on a carpentry trade. He does all the glass or the windows. So this shop is here in Miramar, and he has another friend. That's how everything goes. Friend knows a friend and a friend and a friend and a friend. And this glass was made in L.A.
Really?
Yes.
And it's tempered just like it should be from the factory.
Yes.
And we talked about while you were building that car, there's a few really custom things. The biggest thing is the top, the reinforcements, and all the supports. That was the most amount of work.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And for those of you guys listening to this, there's a detailed video where Pedro goes over all of the extensive amount of detail work. You'll see that with pictures online and all that stuff. But this car that you've built it's incredibly accurate to the photograph, with the exception of a few things that you've done for comfort and for advancement, safety, those types of things, right?
Reliable.
Right. Now this car is complete. Has this car been featured? This car is featured already in the magazine?
No, it will be soon.
The photographs have been taken, but it hasn't been produced.
Yes.
So what's going to happen with this car?
It's just going to stay.
Are you keeping this car?
I'm keeping this car.
Okay. Unless someone offers you an obscene amount of money, then it's not for sale.
Yes, that's correct. Look, when I do my projects, the mentality that I have is not that I'm going to sell it.
Right.
Because when you start thinking this way, you start making shortcuts.
Right.
And I'm not a shortcut guy.
No.
I'm just going forward.
You're not a shortcut guy.
So like I mentioned you, there is no, when I commit something, there is no a limit budget on it.
Yeah, you don't pay attention you don't care what it costs.
I don't care what it costs. And
not carelessly, but the last thing you're concerned of is the cost. You're more concerned with, how do I get windows made?
Yes.
I'll figure out how much it is when I find who can make them first.
Yes.
Find who can make them, find where I have to have this piece. How do I modify something existing for this, from the Carmen hood pull to whatever, and then doing the research for those types of things. And you were able to see a lot of parts and pieces from other owners that they sneak a little picture online. You're studying the picture to see what did they use for this, and this, because what's strange is no one's really just giving up that information, right? No one's like, oh, here, look at mine. Everybody's kind of secretive, right? A little bit on these cars, which is really interesting. So you really had to be a detective to finish this 1962 Carmen Cabriolet Type 34 prototype tribute car. It's unbelievable. It's a stunning vehicle. One of the things we didn't touch on was the upholstery. Now you started making you got problems. If nobody does it, Pedro's going to do it, right? Like the old Life cereal commercial, give it to Mikey. Mikey likes it. Like, hey, give it to Pedro. He'll fix it. He'll build the car, So what made you start doing the upholstery? Because you made upholstery kits, factory original, accurate upholstery kits that you sat here and you have somebody like Lee who's over your shoulder going, this is like this. This is like that. You're like, okay, let's make it. And then you put the research in to find out where to get the fabrics and do all these things. When did you start doing the upholstery for the cars?
Okay, well, we have to go back a little. And that's every time when I have to say, I have to go back because, this is nobody knows actually the story.
Right.
So you know what you heard.
Right.
But you don't know what happened or what got to me into that.
Right.
But the original, the guy they actually started doing the cloth is Scott Taylor.
Oh, yeah?
He did this. And that's when Scott Taylor and SMS, they worked together to get the three first colors, which is the red, the cerulean blue, and the silver. But this is going back even before I started. They already had this workout like 8 years to 10 years back. So they took SMS probably like 5 years to get these three colors done.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get is the fabric was available, but nobody wanted to do it.
Nobody wanted to pay the money to have it made.
Because not only is expensive, as I remember they started with $120 a yard of the cloth. Right now it's $175 a yard.
Per yard.
Now, if you
do they
committed,
make it to order, or you have to make a minimum amount?
When there's a minimum of 3 yards. When you SMS, they've been so helpful in this. But when you okay, this is what I want. You send it to them, and wait 4 years. That's what it takes.
Wow.
So these 3 cloths, they were available, but nobody wanted to touch it. And that's what I'm trying to go back is, if you spending $500 in fabric, that's not including the vinyl. So now we're talking $800. Will you give that fabric to anybody or any random shop?
Right, to stitch it wrong or cross the pattern or do whatever.
Or say, oh, look, I ripped this or I did this wrong, and can you get me more? It's just one of those, you're afraid of doing it. So I started it with the 62, the Pacific Blue. And by that time, I go, okay, SMS, can you do the turquoise? Because that's the original came inside. And say, yes, of course. So Scott Taylor, he had an original Pacific Blue, and he gave me a sample, mailed it to me. So I sent it to SMS. So while I was working on the car, I thought in 2 months or 3 months, I will have the cloth. Well, the car was done.
No cloth.
I go, okay, I need to enjoy this car. So I bought the one that was available, the silver. It was the closest to make it match. So once I got it, I go, okay, now let's work on it. So my car was the first Type 34. It had the original upholstery.
Huh.
So the hardcore guys, I don't have to mention names because you guys know who you are. They saw my car. Wow, this is
They're like,
this is unreal.
I need my upholstery like this.
Yes. And so by that time, it was already featured, VW, with the wrong color cloth. So once it was featured, once it was done, almost before it got sold, finally it took 4 years to get the turquoise. So after I was done the car, it was 2 years. So I took that off, put the turquoise in, and there you go.
So you changed. So they finally, it took 4 years to make the fabric. You got the fabric done and you redid your upholstery again. Now, how many upholstery sets did you make? So you bought the existing fabric they had and made upholstery kits for
so
people.
Once they saw the magazine and once the internet, see the pictures and then they see, oh, where you got this? Well, SM, can you do one? Yes, of course. So and then I end up doing 25.
So you've done 25 interior kits for people. Yes. Are you done doing the interior kits?
I'm done.
So no more. You have the patterns if somebody needs to figure out how to do them, or
no, because I'm not. I don't want to talk bad or anything, but a lot of people just see it going on a custom way. It's a lot easier and quicker because they ask me what the process, and the process is long, and it takes forever.
How long is it? How many hours does it take you to make an upholstery kit?
No, it's not the upholstery. Is to buy the vinyl from the store, get it back to me, get the layout lines on the back, send it back to them, get them heat sink, and then get it back to me again, and then put it together. It's a process of maybe 8 months.
Oh wow!
Per car,
That's
unless I do a combo or a lot, many at the time, but still would take.
Well, and I know you offered me one of your last kits that you had, and I said, "Sorry, Pedro, I'm going custom." And so
that's okay.
And for me, I think it's incredible the amount of work that you go to, the time and effort you put into doing this stuff, because I think you do it because you love a challenge. I think you do it because you love the hobby, more importantly. You know what I mean? And you love to see the most correct of the correct be there. So what's next for you?
Enjoy and drive these cars.
So your plan is to enjoy the convertible and drive the one-of-one car that you have.
Yes. I already got my T-shirt, and it's on the internet. It says, "Honey, I promise this is my last car."
Nice.
And I have to keep my word on this one now because I know I said it twice before and it didn't work out. I don't know why, but it's just every time I wear this shirt, people that know me, they just laugh or smile like they don't believe me. But I gotta go.
Well, the nice thing is, I mean, the best way to go out with your last restoration that you want to deal with, because obviously we're all getting older. We can't do this forever. And sometimes we spend so much time working, we spend less time enjoying. And, the goal for these cars is to enjoy these cars, to drive them, to take them out, to let people see them, and enjoy and share the hobby. And I mean, you've done a lot. You have done a lot of stuff in the Type 3 world. You have changed the game so many times, from the roof racks to the interiors to all these things, making it possible for people to have some things that they want that are no longer available.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've been, I drive around on the convertible. Went one of these meetings here in San Diego, and the guy asked me, "Is this an original? You never heard a Type 34 convertible?" And I go, "No, it's a replica." And he turned around and left. And I go, "Okay, I was gonna tell you, all the stuff I had, all my work where it is,
the amount of work."
So that was funny, but it was sad at the same time.
Yeah, some people don't appreciate what it takes to commit to a level to find as close to an exact copy to build a replica or a tribute to a prototype car that no longer exists. And sometimes I wonder how committed they are to the hobby, because even me, and I'm a custom guy, I can't believe the amount of, that's 10 times the work of any custom car. I mean, to do that, and because you have, with custom, it's like you screw it up, we'll call it custom and we keep going, right? That car, it's got to be exactly, especially if you say this is a tribute. So someone says, well, you got this wrong. No, I didn't. This is why it's correct. This is why it's correct. So I have nothing but respect for you. I think you're one of the top builders for the Type 3 cars, especially for a guy not having a shop, doing everything in your garage, everything yourself, putting it all together, from stitching the seat to binding the carpet and everything in between. And, from fabricating the motor engine pieces and the thermostats and doing every little detail. It's a testament to your love for the hobby, and your love for the hobby shows through because the creations that you've made, they didn't stop with you and hide in a collection. They're out there in the world and people are enjoying them. And that's got to be good.
Well, the nice thing, it helped me an experience too, that when I did a 62, a 65, and a 68, those numbers in between, it's only one change.
Right.
So I actually work on these from scratch, from ground, in where all the major changes were.
Right.
So it's not that I know everything, but I can point it out and I can defend myself.
Yeah. Well, Pedro, I'm glad we get to sit down and chat and do this podcast. Anybody you'd like to thank for that's helped you throughout the way, and all the guys that's kind of part of your group?
It's a long list, amigo. But I will. You guys don't get offended if I forget one of your names.
Yeah.
But first of all, I have to go. Okay, this is not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just random. Okay, guys.
No, in no particular order.
No. But Lee Hedges. We have a little group here of our amigos. Have you heard about it? Yak Fisher, Eric Han, Jason Wego, and I have Peter from Netherlands. I have. There's
hundreds of people. Yeah.
There's everybody's involved.
Everyone that's ever sold you the part you need.
York. Yeah. I won't forget about you, York.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. And what's funny is, even when I was building my custom Type 34, I had people from the Type 34 world from all around. If I needed something, they contributed something. If I needed this part, and I think even because I was doing it custom, they know that the car was at Andy's shop and it was going to be done to the best level. So and that's the thing with the hobby, right? Everybody contributes to the success for somebody else, I think. If you know that the guy's not buying the car or building it to flip it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're building it because it's your passion, people want to help with that.
That's the mentality that I have when I build my cars.
Yeah.
Like we went through this. It's just, this is my car. This is what I want. This is what I want.
Right.
And like Lee said, and I'm not against some custom. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's
no. I know
I like the upgrades.
There's deep down inside is a lowered guy buried inside.
And
lowered skateboarder inside
there you go. There you go. So like Lee Hedges said, if you're happy when you open that garage and see your car, that's what it is.
That's it. It's all that matters, brother.
It's just making yourself happy.
Well, Pedro, thanks for spending the time with us, man.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate it. And
I know there's more, a lot involved, but
I'm looking forward to, hopefully you guys come out for one crazy weekend this year in Las Vegas and you guys bring the Type 3s out there. That would be fantastic in October. I would love to see some Type 34s out there along with Zorba and the other. And so people, because it's so interesting when people see Zorba and they think, I've never seen this car before. But then when they see Zorba and they see the convertible and they see Lee's car and they see the variety of the way you can do the cars, it's really, every time people see my car, they're inspired. They want to buy one. Everybody wants to get, I would like to get one of these. Where do I find one? How do I get one? And I'm like, well, You have to be committed to the game, right?
Yeah, Lee even mentioned that he's trying to see if we can get like a Type 34 day up there in Vegas.
Let's do it.
So we're making plans. You see how we can either drive or get a big trailer. We're working on it. We've been thinking about this. So it was going to be a surprise, Bill, but now I think I ruined it.
That's all right. Listen, he said we're gonna make it there this year, and I'd love to see you guys there. I definitely think it's the Type 34 it's a special, unique car by itself, but the people that I've met that are in the hobby that are in it because they love the hobby. They're not in it to make money. They're not in it to do this. They're in it because they love the hobby. Are really genuine people, and everybody's willing to help all the time if someone has questions or concerns. And whether you're doing custom like mine or you're doing original like yours, I think people can see who you are and what your passion is for the car, and they're willing to contribute, so that's the great part, man.
Well, yes. I mean, to get to the point where this was built, I had it started from somewhere.
Right.
Because, at the end, I got all this knowledge now.
Yeah.
That, okay, this is what I need. I know who to talk to or who to contact. And that helped me a lot with doing all these restorations to get to this point. Otherwise, it's not like you decide to do this from the beginning.
Right.
Forget it.
It's in one step at a time, one more difficult than the other. And then the 62, the 65, the 68, and now the 62 convertible prototype.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no way that I would afford to get a original one.
Right. And along the way, as you've gone through this process, you have found resources for other people to help them get parts and pieces and things that they needed. So all of that knowledge contributes back to the hobby as well. So
yes. Yeah, it was no fun to do a 63 since it already existed, those original ones.
Right.
So that was
you have the oldest convertible.
Now I got the oldest.
Working
top.
Yes. I love it. Hey, Pedro, thanks again for coming on, man. And I'm sure this won't be the last time.
Well, no, I don't think it will be
I would like to do maybe a Type 3 roundtable, you, me, and Lee, and we're just going to talk. And I'm going to ask some random questions, and you guys fight it out.
Oh, you're going to need a lot of hours available because
we'll do that.
Because we have talked like that for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
And so
it'll be good, and the Type 3 people will enjoy it.
Yes. So. Well, thank you, Bill, and I like what you do here too.
Well, thanks,
it's really
brother.
Exciting.
I appreciate it.
All righty.
Well, if you like that podcast, make sure you share it with all your VW enthusiast friends so that they're sure to get on board and listen to Let's Talk Dubs. And it's never too late to get registered for one crazy weekend, October 2nd through the 4th, Las Vegas, Nevada at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. Go to letstalkdubs.com for more information. And shout out to Todd Mayer for sending me a message. He sent me a link to some door panels, and he caused me a problem because I think I might have bought them. So also had Scott Tricomo sent me a message and wanted to know he's coming to One Crazy Weekend on Wednesday night. Want to know if there's any accommodations you can make for his car. We will be having accommodations for your guys' cars. There's plenty of trailer parking, plenty of security and all that stuff on site. So don't worry about a thing if you come in a little bit early. We are setting up for the show Thursday morning typically, but this year we may be setting up on Wednesday. But the top floor of the parking garage where we're moving the event to is going to be secured for some of those people that are coming in early. So don't worry about that. Plenty of parking, plenty of cool stuff to do at One Crazy Weekend. So that's where we're at. That's what I'm sticking to, and wanted to reach out to all the people that definitely have reached out to me. And if you haven't given us a review, give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Go put your review, leave your name in the review so I give you a shout out. We only got 311 reviews. Guys, let's get this thing to 500. Let's get it to 1,000. Go there, review the podcast, and give me 2 cents of your take on the podcast. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And if you're not, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you, son. There's nothing I can do for that. But I love it. Hobby's great. My car, I've been having a great time with Zorba. And now we're just making our plan of attack for the summer. So hopefully I see a bunch of you guys out there. And until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen.